I waited for 7 hours outside City Hall, only to get a text from Sophia saying she wasn't coming. This time, I didn't bother asking her for an excuse. I just called my mom. Mom, I set my voice flat. I'm not marrying Sophia. When we first met her parents, they'd handed me a greeting card with a crisp $1 bill inside. A joke, they'd said. Now, less than 3 days before our wedding, Sophia was still putting off getting the marriage license. I was out of excuses for her. 7 years gone just like that. On the other end of the line, my mom's voice broke. Okay, honey, if she thinks we're not good enough for her, then we're done. I'll set something up with Mr. Clark's daughter for you to meet. Yeah, okay. I mumbled and hung up. I drove home through a torrential downpour. The second I pushed the door open, I saw them, Sophia and Caleb Vance, arms linked, drinking champagne. The house was a wreck. A framed photo of us had been tossed on a coffee table, used as a coaster, now smeared with grease and littered with trash. Sophia didn't even seem to notice. When she saw me, the crowd of friends who had been cheering them on went dead silent. Liam, don't get the wrong idea, one of them said quickly. Sophia and Caleb were just doing a dare. Sophia nodded eagerly, not a trace of guilt on her face. Her family's company had blown up over the past few years, and she'd started talking down to me, her voice dripping with arrogance. The slightest disagreement, and she'd make a scene in public. I didn't say a word. I just walked past them and went upstairs to change out of my soaked clothes. From the landing, I watched as Sophia, blushing, finished the champagne with Caleb. They looked like a happy couple. Honestly, I wasn't even surprised. The linked-arm toasts, sharing a single fry, passing a napkin back and forth with their mouths. I was used to Caleb's little games. I just submitted my resignation at work when Sophia led Caleb into our master bedroom. The rain is coming down way too hard, she announced. Caleb will get soaked if he leaves. I told him he could stay the night here. I had just waited for her in a downpour for 7 hours with a nasty head cold, but God forbid Caleb get a single drop of rain on him. I let out a short, sarcastic laugh. And you can sleep in the guest room, she said, her spoiled, rotten temper flaring. She frowned and shoved my comforter onto the floor. Where are your manners? Caleb just smirked, stroking her hair. Liam's from some struggling town in the Midwest, you know? His family is all blue-collar. It's normal for him to be a little provincial. Don't mind him. My breath hitched. My fists clenched at my sides. But then I remembered I was leaving, and the fight just drained out of me. It didn't matter anymore. If I'd already decided to walk away, I couldn't care less what they did. I went to the guest room. Later that night, Sophia slipped into my bed, wearing a silk and lace nightgown. Were you jealous today? She whispered, snuggling into my arms. Don't be silly. We're about to get married. I promise I'll give you the most incredible wedding, and then we'll be together forever. I stayed silent for a moment, about to tell her I was going home, when my phone rang. It was Caleb, his voice thick with fake tears. Sophia, the thunder. It's so loud. Can you come back and stay with me? He added, I'm so sorry. I know it's stupid for a grown man to be scared of storms. I hope Liam isn't mad. Sophia shot out of bed. It's okay, don't worry about it. I'm coming, she cooed into the phone. She glanced back at me, hesitating. My voice was calm. Go. She gave me a quick peck on the cheek and rushed out of the room. My train ticket home was for the day of the wedding. After all these years of grinding away in the city, I figured I should at least bring something back for my parents. That's how I ended up at the mall where I saw them. Sophia and Caleb, laughing as they walked into a designer men's underwear store. They even went into the fitting room together. I acted like I hadn't seen a thing. A few stores down, a massage chair caught my eye. $3,800. As I was about to pay, a hand shot out from behind me. I turned. It was Caleb. He shot me a triumphant smirk. I'll take it, he announced to the salesman. Ring it up. The salesman explained that I was first. Caleb didn't care. I'll pay triple. Sell it to me. The salesman looked at me awkwardly, but I wasn't looking at him. I was staring at the debit card in Caleb's hand. It had a familiar cartoon sticker on it. The day I got my first big bonus, I gave Sophia my debit card. She'd been so happy pressing that sticker onto it. Now it has my mark on it, she'd said. Like I'm branding you. I had teased her, asking how she was going to brand me. She had leaned in and given me a searing kiss. We were so in love then. Now my card was in another man's hand. Just then, Sophia walked in. Caleb immediately put on a wounded expression. Sophia, thank God you're here. Liam is bullying me again. Anything I want, he tries to buy it first. Can you talk to him for me? You think just because we're getting married, you can push Caleb around whenever you want. Caleb wrapped his arm around her waist, shooting me a smug look over her shoulder. The old me would have decked him, but now, I was just tired. I didn't care anymore. Without looking up, I pulled the engagement ring off my finger and dropped it into a nearby trash can. If you're so worried I'll bully him after we're married, I said, my voice cold. Then let's just not get married. I walked out of the mall, went straight home, and started packing. Even though I'd made my decision, it still hurt. Opening the closet and seeing our matching hoodies hanging side by side. The his and hers toothbrush holders in the bathroom. My chest ached. When we first started dating, Sophia would get jealous if another girl so much as smiled at me. She insisted we wear cheesy matching outfits to stake her claim. I'd refused, so she jumped into my arms, pouting, "Please, baby. If that doesn't work, then I'm begging you." She knew I could never say no when she acted like that. I actually wore a shirt that said, "Hands off, I'm hers." It was only then that I noticed the wedding portrait that used to hang over our bed was gone. In its place was an oil painting. In the bottom right corner, the signature, Caleb Vance. I stared at the painting for a long moment, then gave a bitter, self-mocking smile. I grabbed my suitcase and headed for the door. Sophia burst in, her eyes red. "This is your fault, and I don't even have the right to be mad at you," she demanded. "That ring was our promise to each other. How could you just throw it away?" I didn't want a big, dramatic fight. "Give me my debit card back," I said quietly. The thought of Caleb having it made my skin crawl. Her eyes went wide with disbelief. A second later, she yanked a wad of cash from her purse and threw in my face. "Here, you think I need your money? This isn't even enough for one of my handbags." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. That night, Caleb posted dozens of clips to his Instagram story of Sophia dancing at a club. The neckline of her dress was dangerously low, her chest dotted with what were clearly hickeys. I felt nothing. I just blocked them both. In a little over 50 hours, we would be complete strangers. I went back to the office to finalize my resignation. As I walked in, I heard laughter. Caleb was sitting at my desk, holding a stack of photos. "Check this one out," he was saying. The suit Liam wore to meet Sophia's parents for the first time. The cuffs are frayed, and he treated it like it was Armani. He held up another. And this necklace, he got her for their 5th anniversary. Sophia said it was only like $800. She tossed it in the back of her jewelry box the next day. The moments I had cherished were now evidence of how pathetic I was. Director, my assistant, Alex, saw me and his face went pale. "What are you calling him that for?" Another voice sneered. "Caleb's the director now. Liam's just a nobody." Caleb spun around in my chair, a smirk still on his face. Well, if it isn't the former director. I was already gone, so I didn't care who had my job. I walked straight to Caleb and pulled the photos from his hand. Every picture of me and Sophia had been defaced with ridiculous doodles. Caleb raised an eyebrow. "Sophia told me to get rid of some trash." I thought it was pretty funny, so I decided to share. I stared at him, my expression blank, and dropped the photos into the trash can. "You're right," I said to the stunned room. "It is trash." Then I walked out of the company for the last time. On my last day in the city, Sophia's mother called and asked me to come over. I was about to refuse, but then I changed my mind. "Fine, I'll be there in half an hour." In the living room, Mrs. Wallace sat primly on a leather sofa. Sophia was next to her, head down, scrolling on her phone. Caleb was there too, wearing pajamas like he owned the place. On the coffee table was a document, a prenuptial agreement. Mrs. Wallace looked down her nose at me. "Considering the disparity between our families, all of Sophia's income, property, and investments will remain separate after the wedding. Of course," she added magnanimously, "we won't touch your little $1,000 a week salary." I picked up the prenup. The terms were laughable. One clause stated that if we divorced, I would have to pay Sophia a wasted youth fee, calculated at $10,000 per year we were together. Sophia didn't seem to care that her mother was humiliating me with this ridiculous document. All she wanted was to get even for yesterday. "You're going to get on your knees and apologize to Caleb right now," she said. "If you do, I'll forgive you." I put the agreement down and looked at her. "Is this what you want too?" Her confidence wavered. She avoided my eyes, twisting the hem of her shirt. "Just sign it. We love each other. We're not going to get a divorce." "Sophie is right," Caleb cut in, draping his arm casually over her shoulders. "True love doesn't care about stuff like this. Unless what?" I asked, my voice ice. "Unless your motives weren't pure from the start," Caleb finished with a triumphant grin. "I've seen guys like you before, trying to marry up. You think a wedding ring is your ticket out of the gutter, don't you?" I stood up and ripped the prenup in half. "You don't have to worry, Mrs. Wallace. I have absolutely no interest in your family's money." I turned and walked away without waiting for a reaction. Sophia chased after me, wrapping her arms around me from behind. "Okay, stop being mad," she pleaded. "As soon as the wedding is over, we'll go get the license." Her eyes were shining with the giddy, girlish excitement of a bride-to-be. "We're finally getting married." We're finally going to belong to each other forever. I have 3 different dresses picked out for the reception. I'm going to be the most beautiful bride in the world. You should be thanking your lucky stars you get to marry me. A bitter ache spread through my chest. I wanted to tell her I was leaving that night, that my train was in a few hours. But she had already let go of me and was running back to Caleb. "It's my bachelorette party tonight," she called over her shoulder. I promised Caleb I'd spend it with him. "Don't you dare bother us." I watched her go, watched her leap into Caleb's arms like an excited puppy. There was nothing left for me here. I got in my car and drove to the station. "Sophia, this is the first time I've ever stood you up, and it will be the last. I have no doubt you'll be the most beautiful bride in the world. I just won't be there to see it. I protected that beauty for 7 years. Now it's Caleb's turn. 7 years was long enough. We never need to see each other again." On the day of the wedding, as Caleb led a radiant Sophia in her magnificent gown to the limousine, she sent me a text. "Sorry, hubby." Caleb said he wanted to know what it felt like to ride in the wedding car. For some reason, a knot of anxiety tightened in her stomach. She never got a reply. Back at the venue, the groom was nowhere to be found. The guests started to whisper. Sophia's anxiety reached a fever pitch. She paced back and forth, clutching the skirt of her gown. Frowning, she dialed my number. A second later, her eyes widened in horror. "The number you have dialed is not in service." Her face went white. She tried again and again, getting the same cold, automated voice. "The number you have dialed." She gasped for air and hurled her phone at the wall, shattering it. The staff in the bridal suite froze, terrified. As the Amtrak train pulled away from the platform, my phone started vibrating nonstop in my bag. The name Sophia flashed on the screen, a dull knife twisting in a wound that was just starting to scab over. I turned the phone off and shoved it to the very bottom of my backpack. Rain streaked the window beside me. Back at the venue, everything had descended into chaos. Sophia, wearing her custom-made $250,000 wedding gown, stood screaming at the empty seats, her carefully curled hair a mess from her frantic hands, her makeup ruined by tears. Caleb was trying to comfort her with a phony expression of concern, but I knew he was loving every second of it. "It's okay, Sophia. He's gone," he was probably saying. "It's for the best. You still have me. We can just pretend this is our wedding." Before he could finish, Sophia would have shoved her bouquet in his mouth. "What the hell did you just say?" But none of that had anything to do with me anymore. The man in the seat next to me got a local news alert on his phone, and the headline caught my eye. The video showed Sophia screaming at an empty ceremony. She had shattered a champagne flute, the red wine and glass shards splattering across her pristine white dress. "Liam Peterson, you get out here right now," her hysterical voice shrieked through the phone speaker. "This isn't funny." In the background, reporters' cameras flashed. I could see Caleb trying to console her, only to be shoved away violently. I looked away, a small, liberating smile on my face. My backpack still held the video I was supposed to play at the reception, a montage of our 7 years together that I'd stayed up for 3 straight nights to edit. Looking back now, all those supposedly sweet memories had been tainted, killed by her actions. Even powered off, I could feel the phone vibrating in my bag, a testament to her persistence. I suddenly remembered her birthday last week. I'd waited 5 hours in the rain just to give her a necklace she'd mentioned once in passing, while she was celebrating with Caleb at some Michelin star restaurant. "Attention passengers, the next stop is..." The announcement broke through my thoughts. I watched the scenery blur past the window, feeling lighter than I had in years. 7 years. I was finally free from her condescending attitude, from Caleb's smirks, for being treated like a dog by her family. I was free. The train entered a tunnel, plunging everything into darkness. Just like our relationship, it had finally reached the end of the line. I've been back in my hometown for 3 days when my mom handed me a stack of newspapers. The business section's headline read, "Wallace Corp. Stock plummets 20%. The lifestyle section had a photo of Sophia, drunk at a bar late at night. She was wearing the same white dress she'd worn on our first date, her chest stained with spilled wine, as she aggressively kissed a man who looked vaguely like me. I frowned and tossed the paper in the trash. "Mom, you don't have to tell me anything about her anymore. Hannah Clark is coming for dinner tomorrow," my mom said, then added hesitantly, "I don't want to bring her up, but I heard. The girl swallowed her engagement ring last week. They had to take her to the hospital to get her stomach pumped." I was about to respond when the doorbell rang. On the security monitor, I saw Sophia, standing barefoot in the pouring rain. Her makeup was a mess, her dress plastered to her body. "I know you're in there." She started pounding on the door with the heel of her shoe. Her voice was raw and desperate, nothing like the imperious princess I knew. You come out here and apologize to me right now, and maybe we can get back together. Otherwise, I will never, ever forgive you. I didn't open the door. I just spoke through the intercom, my voice even. I don't care if you forgive me, because I will never forgive you. That broke her. She collapsed onto the wet ground, sobbing, drawing the attention of neighbors. My mom went out to try and get her to leave, but she refused to budge, just kept screaming that she needed to talk to me alone. Just come out and look at me. I don't believe you'd still treat me like this. Liam, come out. I said nothing. I just called security. Through a crack in the curtains, I watched them drag her away, her fingers clawing at the doorframe. The scene reminded me of college, when she'd gotten into a fight with someone for me. She was just a stubborn back then, a little fiery, but also kind of cute. Now, seeing her like this, she just looked pathetic. Late that night, my phone lit up. It was a video from one of Sophia's best friends. Sophia was in a private karaoke room, screaming the lyrics to Adele's Someone Like You. When she got to the line, I had hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me, it isn't over. She suddenly grabbed a beer bottle and hurled it at the giant screen, which was playing a slideshow from our graduation trip. The video ended with her curled up on the sofa, still wearing the woven bracelet from the matching set we had. It was so dirty, you could barely tell what color it used to be. She claimed she hated me, but this was the same girl who once complained the wrapping paper on a bouquet I gave her was tacky. Now, she was clinging to all the trash I'd ever given her. I sighed and blocked her friend, too. It was too little too late. The day Hannah Clark came over for dinner, a familiar Porsche 911 was parked at the end of the street. Sophia was waiting under a maple tree, wearing the first dress I ever bought her. She'd been doing this for days, and I was sick of it. She was so thin she looked skeletal. The dress, once perfectly fitted, now hung loosely on her frame, her collarbones jutting out sharply. Liam, she stumbled toward me, grabbing my sleeve. She reeked of whiskey. I fired Caleb. I kicked him out of the company, see? She held up her phone, showing me a stream of texts from him, begging for his job back. I looked on, feeling nothing. Suddenly, Sophia dropped to her knees, hugging my legs, her designer dress soaking up the dirt from the driveway. I know I was wrong. Can we please start over? When a neighborhood security guard came over, she fought him off, frantically digging a rusty tin box out of her Hermes bag. Inside, arranged neatly, were all the little trinkets I'd given her over the years. Movie ticket stubs, Disneyland passes, a bookmark I'd made from pressed flowers. Even the printed receipt from the boba tea shop we went on our first date. Do you remember? She cried, her expensive, perfectly maintained hair stuck to her tear-streaked face. You said you'd buy me boba tea for the rest of my life. Her voice died in her throat. I had pulled something out of my own pocket, a black loyalty card for that same boba shop, the one Hannah had just given me. Sorry, I said calmly, pulling my leg free from her grasp. I'm only buying boba for Hannah now. Sophia stared at me, her expression one of pure, shattering heartbreak. I didn't hesitate. I pushed past her and went inside. That night, Hannah took the lead in running interference for me with my family's well-meaning but pushy questions. Walking her home later, she hummed an out-of-tune song under the moonlight, then suddenly stopped. You know, I first met you 10 years ago. It turned out she'd been a transfer student in the class next to ours in college. She'd seen Sophia throw a tantrum at me in the middle of the crowded cafeteria. I remember thinking, wow, that guy has the patience of a saint, she said, kicking a loose pebble. If it were me, I would have just stolen you away. The night breeze seemed to clear the air, and her eyes were unbelievably bright. I looked down at the pearl barrette in her hair, the one my mother had given her. A real smile spread across my face. In that moment, I finally understood. I understood how she always seemed to appear at just the right time, how she understood everything I never said out loud. For the 7 years I was lost in Sophia's world, there had been another girl, watching me from a distance. Maybe, just maybe, I could actually start again. 3 months later, I started my new job at Hannah's company. In the lobby of the Clark Corporation headquarters, I ran into Sophia's father, who was there for a meeting. The man who had once looked down on me with such disdain now had graying hair and frayed cuffs on his suit. He froze when he saw me, dropping a stack of files. They scattered across the polished marble floor. Liam, he bent down to pick them up, and I noticed his shirt collar was yellowed. Sophia, she tried to kill herself last week. Slit her wrists. I stepped over his scattered proposal documents without a word. But just as the elevator doors were closing, I saw him pull a photo from his wallet. It was from our college graduation, me and Sophia, smiling in our caps and gowns. That afternoon, my assistant told me a Ms. Wallace had been waiting for me in the lobby for 4 hours. I walked to the window. Down below, by the fountain, stood Sophia in a hospital gown. Her right wrist was wrapped in bandages, but her left hand was cupped protectively around a thermos she was holding. A flicker of pity stirred in me. I called her mother and told her to come pick up her daughter. After 7 years, I didn't want to see her destroy herself like this. That weekend, Hannah and I went grocery shopping. She stood on her toes, trying to reach a bag of coffee beans on the top shelf. I came up behind her, my arm reaching over hers, effectively trapping her in a gentle hug. Her perfume filled my senses. "It's buy one, get one free," she said, holding up a pair of matching mugs, her eyes crinkling into happy crescents. I knew what she was asking. I smiled and ruffled her hair. At the checkout, we both reached for our wallets at the same time, our fingers brushing. Blushing, she pushed my card back into my hand. My treat this time. A warmth spread through my chest. A light rain started to fall on the way home. We huddled together under one umbrella. As she told me funny stories from the office, a strand of her hair brushed against my cheek. For a second, I felt a sense of disorientation. Maybe this is what love was supposed to feel like. Hannah and I decided to have our engagement party on a beach in the Maldives. Just before the ceremony, my old assistant, Alex, sent me a message. Caleb Vance had been sentenced to 7 years in prison for embezzlement and corporate fraud. Sophia's family had blamed him for everything, and he'd paid the price. The attached photo showed him in an orange jumpsuit, his once perfect hair shaved to a buzz cut, a nasty scar across his forehead, apparently from a bottle smashed over his head by a loan shark. The irony was thick. The news article used a candid shot of him from the day he'd been mocking me for being a hick. "Oh, by the way," Hannah said, handing me a gold-embossed envelope. "Someone from the Wallace family dropped this off this morning." Inside was a psychiatric evaluation for Sophia from a well-known facility. The diagnosis was clear: major depressive disorder with suicidal ideation. Tucked behind, it was a faded photo, one of those old photo booth pictures from our first date at an amusement park. On the back, in her handwriting, was a sentence she must have added later. "Always believe in Liam Peterson." The ink was blurred and faded. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a familiar figure. It was Sophia, in her hospital gown, watching the celebration from a distance. As I slid the diamond ring onto Hannah's finger, she finally turned and stumbled away. And with that, the 7-year saga of our lives was finally completely over. In the visitor's room at the county jail, I almost didn't recognize Caleb when he walked in wearing his orange jumpsuit. His face was a canvas of black and blue bruises, and he walked with a pronounced limp. Liam," he stammered, sitting down behind the plexiglass. "Please, for old time's sake." I cut him off with a cold laugh. "Old time sake? Which time are you referring to? The time you spread rumors at the office that I was a gold digger, or the time you deliberately gave me the wrong meeting time with a major client?" His fingers drummed nervously on the table, the nails caked with dirt. "That was all Sophia. She made me do it. Please, I'm begging you." He suddenly lunged toward the glass, his forehead pressed against the divider. "I get it now. I see how hard you had it. The Wallaces are insane, both of them." "No," I said, standing and straightening my suit jacket. "I just came to see how miserable you are. That's all." I turned to leave. "I hope you use the rest of your life to become a better person." His pupils dilated in terror. He dropped to his knees and started banging his head against the floor. "Liam, boss, please get me out of here." As the guards dragged him away, a dark patch spread across the front of his jumpsuit. I took one last look at the man who had once been so arrogant and untouchable. He was curled on the floor like a child, sobbing, snot and tears smearing his face. When I walked out of the jail, Hannah was waiting in the car. She glanced at the small digital recorder in my hand. "All taken care of." "Yeah." I buckled my seatbelt. Thanks to his full confession about the other fraud cases, he'll be spending a very productive 15 years in prison. The car moved through the bustling city streets. A news report on the radio announced the final bankruptcy liquidation of the Wallace Corporation. I turned it off and took the hand of the woman beside me. In the rearview mirror, the high walls of the jail grew smaller and smaller, until they finally disappeared around a corner. A year after our engagement, I chose a special day and officially proposed to Hannah. The night before our wedding, I was in my old family home and found a dusty box in the back of my closet. It was filled with Hannah's journals from her school days. Every page held a little secret about me. Liam won the debate tournament again today. He has such a great smile. I heard he and Sophia had a fight. I wish I could offer him a shoulder to cry on. Happy graduation to the boy I'll never have. The last page had our class photo taped to it. In the corner, she had outlined my face in highlighter, and next to it, written in tiny letters, "I love you more than she does." My phone buzzed. It was a text from Hannah. "Tomorrow I get to be your wife. I have a secret to tell you. I smiled and typed back. Funny, I have a secret to tell you too. Outside, the moonlight was as clear as water. I thought of Sophia, and for the first time, I felt a sense of peace. Life is like that. Some goodbyes are just making way for a better hello. Some losses are just clearing space for something far more precious. Tomorrow, I would take the hand of the girl who had been quietly loving me since we were kids, and we would walk toward our future.